You're listening to the Exploring Fitness Podcast, Episode 8. This week, Dr. Dan talks with the two minds behind an emerging giant in the world of energy drinks so that you can better understand what you're putting into your body when you consume a canned energy or pre-workout drink. In 3, 2, 1, go. I'm Dan Dalator. In over 10 years of experience as a clinician and a coach, I've worked with hundreds of athletes to help them improve their health, wellness, and fitness, but still feel that there is so much more for all of us to learn. This is a podcast dedicated to furthering our understanding of health, wellness, fitness, and how to apply these concepts into our daily lives to create true and lasting changes in your fitness and health. This is the Exploring Fitness Podcast. Have you ever looked at the nutritional information on an energy drink can? On the cans of most popular brands, you can find a list of ingredients including the supplements in the drink, but you have no idea how much of those supplements are actually in there. Why is this important? There are evidence-based recommendations on supplements that actually work and how much of them you should intake. If you don't know how much is included in what you're drinking, how do you know you're getting the recommended dose of 5 grams of daily creatine? They list the ingredient, but there could be 0.1 grams included. What good is that? Not only that, but athletes get busted on drug tests all the time for compounds they claim they didn't even know they were taking because they aren't listed on the nutrition label or ingredient list. That's why making sure your supplements are tested by a third-party laboratory is so important, so you know exactly what you're putting into your body. That's the transparency that's missing in a lot of available supplements out there, especially in the energy drink world. And that's exactly what drove these guys to produce a better product. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode. My guests this week are the CEO and founder of Underdog Energy, Joey Stanitzy, and COO and co-founder Dylan Schuett. They became friends and business partners around 2019 while playing junior hockey on the same team in Massachusetts. The company started as a motivational fitness apparel line, eventually becoming Underdog Energy. Properly dosed, fully transparent labels, and a formula crafted specifically for the collegiate athlete. They also host the Behind the Underdog podcast. Oh yeah, and this is all while being student athletes playing hockey at UNE. Dylan and Joey, welcome to the Exploring Fitness Podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
We're excited to get into some good conversation.
You guys have a lot on your plates.
Yeah, that's
Just
for
a little bit.
Yeah. So the first question I ask all of my guests, what is fitness to you? You guys can answer collectively or you can take turns, whatever you feel.
Take it away.
Oh, geez, that's a loaded one to start with. But I think fitness is kind of multifaceted for me. It's not only just like a form of exercise, but also a form of like meditation and mental clarity for me. It's kind of my release. Fitness is my escape from the real world and the stress of being a college athlete and, a student, a business owner. There's a lot that goes on in the day-to-day life. And I feel that the gym and, fitness as a whole has kind of always been my escape, a way to just kind of let loose and get after it, clear my head. And I think, doing that every day is something that keeps me going. It's really ingrained that discipline in my life, allowed me to push harder, in the classroom, as an athlete, as a business partner. So I think that, fitness is such a big part of my life that I don't really know what I would do without it. It's it's a focal point for sure in what I do on a day-to-day basis, and something I look forward to every day.
I love that. Not just the physical side, but also the mental side and the carryover that it has into day-to-day life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, Joey, follow that up.
Honestly, once you started talking, I was like, wow, this sounds very similar to what I have to say, but just for the sake of being a little bit different, for me, it honestly, it is the main pillar of my day. And it's definitely leans more towards the mental aspect of things than the physical. Like Dylan said, it's a mental clarity thing. And for me, it's like the way forward. You get so much discipline from just getting to the gym, from structuring a workout program, progressions throughout weeks, throughout months, and being able to be disciplined with your program, whether you're tired, you had a bad sleep, or you got things going on in life. If you show up and you get the job done every day, it's a win, right? So like even if you're having a bad day, for me, if I get to the gym and I get the job done, like that's a win in my books, and it helps me for all the other tasks that I have later that evening or later that day or the following day, just from a discipline aspect. So for me, I mean, I've done a few different challenges on the fitness side of things. Like I've run in a couple ultra marathons. I competed in a DecaFit event. It's a ruck division event, similar to like CrossFit kind of. I guess High Rocks is more popular nowadays, so people would kind of understand that. But doing those sorts of challenges really brings me to the next level in every other facet of my life. So like, whether we're talking about business, relationships, school, like it allows me to kind of push further, because I think physically, right, when you learn that you can push past barriers, that's where the mental side of things kicks in, where you start getting tired of doing work, or, whether it's schoolwork, business work, admin stuff, like you're like, okay, I can put in another hour. I can do another 2 hours. And, how compounding works, like day after day, if you can do that, you stack up the wins over time. So that's it for me.
Yeah, kind of that like resilience component.
Exactly.
Yeah, love it. So, did I miss anything in the intros? Anything else you guys want to say about yourselves to the audience?
Not really. I think I mean I'd love to touch a little bit more on Underdog, just how we started and how it really came to be. Because I think that's like the kind of the unique aspect of the brand, in my opinion, and what we really stand on and stand for as a brand. Like, Dylan and I have very similar paths with hockey in our careers, in terms of always being the underdog, right? Like always having to find ways to get the edge against competitors, and sometimes failing, making mistakes along the way, and still finding the way to the next level. And that was what the brand was really built on. I remember in high school, and I know I can speak for Dylan on this as well. In high school, especially, everybody tries to find who they are, right? Like they try to figure out what's their path, who do they want to be personality wise, and what are the values that they want to stand by. And for me, it was a very isolated experience. So I was always, Friday nights, Saturday nights, like I was in the gym, I was training, I was trying to make it to the next level, and it felt pretty lonely at times. So the goal of the brand was to really bring people together that were like-minded individuals that really wanted to take their career path, whether it's in sports or in business, to that next step, and find people that want to pursue that alongside them. So that's really, the intro for me. That's literally what I live by every single day. And I think I'll probably do that until the day I die.
Nice. So it started out as motivational fitness apparel.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Could you just talk a little bit more about that? Is it like motivational sayings on all the t-shirts and stuff, or?
Yeah. So it really, it started from the social media side of things. I mean, when we started in 2019, I had already done like 3 clothing brands prior to that, with just kind of different approaches. One was like a 50% of the profits goes to a different charity every month. And nothing was really catching traction. And I was like, you know what? Like, I tried to figure out who I was as a person, and the underdog was just standing out to me, because that was like what I always lived by and always saw myself as. And that's when we started the social media, quotes and motivational videos and all that stuff. And that was when we decided to launch the clothing line, like the Underdog brand. That was what we initially started with the logo and everything like that. And really it was less about the apparel and more about the ethos that we stood by. And we tried to convey that through social media and newsletters to our subscribers and everything like that. And then it just kind of evolved over time into graphic tees with motivational quotes on it and all that kind of stuff.
Well, three other apparel brands prior to Underdog.
Yeah.
How old were you whenever you started your first one?
I was 13 when I started my first one.
What got you interested in that at 13?
So the entrepreneurial spirit has always been in my family. My dad, he did hardwood floors his whole life since he was 16 years old. And when the whole 2008 financial crisis happened, he had no work. So he was trying to figure out kind of like, what do we do? How do I bring in money every month, put food on the table, all that kind of stuff. And he ended up starting his own hardwood flooring company in 2012. And then I followed pretty shortly thereafter, starting my own thing, because I just got to see it from the outsider perspective every single day. And I saw the struggles that he went through to be able to start something. And I also saw the other side of it, of the rewards that you get from building something and turning it into something that can impact people and make a difference. So that was really what I wanted to do and what really brought me to getting into this kind of stuff.
Sweet. So 3 apparel brands ultimately landed on Underdog.
Yep.
And then enter Dylan.
Yep.
Yeah, Joey and I, we got connected. It was ultimately, sports is what brought us together, and our passion for it. And just, looking back, that's what ultimately led our paths to crossing. And, here we are still playing for the same team, or I guess back playing for the same team and still doing Underdog. Joey had just launched the brand a couple months prior to meeting. I guess it was 1 month before. And we met in the lobby of the rink before training camp in the 1920 season. I was returning, and Joey was new to the team that year, and he was at the rink before me. And no one usually gets to the rink before me, so I was like, "Who the hell is this new guy?" And started to learn a little bit more about what he had going on. And he told me about this brand. And, I'm like, "What's this guy doing at the rink on his computer, sitting in the lobby?" And he slowly started to tell me more and more about it. That he just launched this clothing brand and giving me the ins and outs, and slowly became more involved over the course of that season. And ultimately, we launched the podcast Behind the Underdogs that year, and continued to grow and expand the clothing. And it was that same year that we started to really put our minds together on where we wanted this to go, and where we wanted to end up, and how we wanted to take it to the next level. And we knew that we were both so driven by our passion for fitness and being in the weight room and the training aspect of hockey. And, that's really where we bonded and formed our relationship. And we were always willing to go the extra mile, do the extra work. We always wanted to be the first ones there, last ones to leave, and really embodied, what it meant to be an underdog. We were both chasing that goal of going Division I to play college hockey and take our hockey careers to the next level. And, we really bonded over that and our passion for fitness, which ultimately led to, okay, like, what do we want to do with this? And, we wanted to create a product for athletes. And, one of our sayings is for athletes by athletes. Like, we made this product ourselves. We're athletes ourselves. And this is who we designed it for, with, the collegiate athlete in mind. And we spent Joe, most of our 20-year-old year together, about a year and a half planning for UD Energy and the whole concept of it. And we went through a bunch of different ideas, everything from like dry scoops to pixie sticks. Like, we wanted to do something different. And that was really when the ready to drink pre-workouts and all these other energy drink brands were really coming to life. And we wanted to get on that train as it was just taking off. And like I said, we spent the better part of a year and a half planning and formulating and really bringing this idea to life. And in the fall of 22, that was when we finally launched UD Energy together.
That's a pretty big jump from apparel to getting into the energy drink world.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Did you ever second guess it, or like once you guys started talking about it, you're like, all right, let's just freaking do this?
Well, honestly, like, the more research that we did, we spent our whole freshman year of college just about really putting a business plan together. And, this is something that's been refined, on a monthly basis, basically. And it's, 55 pages long. And as we kind of progress through it with research and development of the product and research on the market and the industry itself, we were like, there's a real opportunity here. And the more that we looked at the studies that had been done previously and the energy drinks that were currently in the space, there was something missing, especially for the serious athlete that wanted something that was trustworthy and clean. And, the supplement industry, I'm sure, as you know, is like, it's a very shady and gray area. And we kind of wanted to take that to a new level of just full transparency, like know exactly what you're putting in your body, because that's what we were looking for ourselves, right? Like when we consume, whether it's food or supplements, like we want to know exactly the benefit that it's going to have on us. And that's how we ended up coming up with the ingredients that we have in our product today, is because we felt that those were the ingredients that we felt the most effect and the most benefit from in our training. And honestly, to answer your question, to make a long story short, I think there were times where we were like, how the hell are we going to make this happen? But there was never a doubt in our minds that we were going to make it happen somehow.
Awesome. So you said the supplement industry is a little shady, and I don't disagree with you. And I think it's important for people to understand like some of the like aspects behind it. Like from my understanding, like a company is not required by the FDA to like disclose the nutritional information in their proprietary blend, because that's kind of like their secret sauce, and they don't have to like give away the recipe, right? But you guys decided to be transparent. Why?
I'd say, I mean, the biggest thing for us is, that's what we wanted to avoid, was all this like secrecy around it. We want our athletes to know exactly what they're putting in their bodies. I think there's a few specific examples that come to mind of, collegiate athletes consuming supplements that they think are clean, and they end up getting caught on, a drug test. The one in particular was the goalie for Mankato there, who ended up, it cost him his playoffs. So I think there's specific examples like that where, these are high-end athletes. They need to know exactly what they're putting in their body. And, we didn't want to be like every other brand where, we slap a nutrition facts panel on and hide our proprietary blend behind it. Like that's just not who we are as people and who we wanted to be as a brand. And so when we brought a product to life, we wanted to be sure that, when someone picks up our product and looks, like they know exactly what they're putting in their body, from not just the ingredients, but the amount of each ingredients. Because I think that's another thing. You look at Bang, for example, is probably the most obvious one, claiming, there's super creatine in it. And then you really look at where it is on the other ingredients, and it's less than the caffeine. And you start to scratch your head and think, okay, I need 5 grams of creatine ideally, and it's less than the 300 milligrams of caffeine. Like, what am I really getting out of this? And, they really promote it like they're putting something great in their product, but it's so minimally dosed. So we wanted to avoid that altogether. Just full transparency from what ingredients are in our can, as well as how much. And that was something that we agreed on day one, and we'll never shy away from that. Can that affect us negatively in the long run, as far as making sales and the business side of things and bringing in revenue? Possibly, but that's not what we're in it for. We wanted to bring a clean product that athletes can trust, and feel comfortable putting in their body on a day-to-day basis. And that's why we went a step further too, and we've got our Informed Sport certification, which is arguably the most rigorous third-party testing for banned substances, as well as ensuring that our label's accurate. So what we say is on there is actually in the can, which a lot of other brands can't say. So that's why day one we wanted to be fully transparent with everything, because ultimately that's what we want as athletes as well. So we wanted to create a product that we feel good putting in our bodies as well.
Yeah, I think you guys initially told me that you were getting pushback and recommendations to not be transparent on your label.
Yep.
And you did it anyway, despite the legal advice. I love it.
I mean, I'm a huge believer on the business side, especially, of the product is just a vessel of the brand itself. And what the brand stands for is the most important. That's how you build loyal customers and the customers that are going to be with you for life, right? As we continue to release products. And at the end of the day, like our recipe, like it could be copied. But I truly believe that what you build as a brand in a community, that's been the main focal point from the start, is building the community of athletes that want to come together and be a part of something bigger than themselves. I believe that in the end that wins, and that keeps people loyal to what you stand for. So
nice. So you said that some of the things that you had personally been using in your training helps you decide on what you are ultimately going to include in the product. Can you kind of talk about that process a little bit more? Like, how did you guys go about testing and doing the research into these specific things that you ultimately decided on including?
Yeah, I think, Joey and I were always looking for a way to gain an edge, whether it was with our training regimen, and in this case, specifically supplementation. We had tried every sort of pre-workout ingredient under the sun, taking them separately, kind of making our own pre-workouts, buying canned pre-workouts and trying different ones. And then we really got into experimenting with certain ingredients, and we found ones that we liked and we actually noticed a difference from, whether it was an increase in energy, focus, power, endurance, which ultimately led us to our 4 pillars. Like, okay, these are the 4 things that we want to accomplish, with this beverage. So what ingredients can we include that do these for us? And that's ultimately how we came up with our formula, and we, tweak different amounts. What we find was most optimal. Okay, this, I think if we try this amount, maybe we, take it from 2 grams to 4 grams, say, of, citrulline, for example, and we found much better results. So a lot of it was, testing ourselves and testing with teammates what they found was effective in their workout, and that's ultimately how we really came up with what we wanted to. And this is something that even probably before we had the plan of creating our own product, something we were doing, just in our own training and own supplement regimen to find really what worked for us, and brought us the most benefit.
Nice. The dicaffeine malate. I don't know that I've ever seen that in an energy drink before. Can you how is that different than the regular caffeine from the green tea extract?
Yeah, absolutely. So as far as we know, it is the only energy drink that uses dicaffeine malate as well. It's common in your powdered pre-workouts, but yeah, we use a patented form of the dicaffeine malate called Infinergy. It's a compound made by Creative Compounds, the company that we use. And essentially, when the caffeine is bonded to the malic acid, it slows the digestion. So one, prevents the crash, and two, kind of provides that steady increase in energy rather than that spike and crash that you see with typical caffeine and hydro supplements. And one of the biggest things was the ease in digestion as well. Caffeine can be hard on people's stomachs, especially those that are somewhat more sensitive to it than others. The research has shown that when it's bonded to malic acid, it really eases that effect. It's kind of like putting, say a butter or some sort of fat source in your coffee. It slows the digestion, really prevents that crash, and it's one of the biggest differentiators for us in the beverage space. Is no other energy drink is doing that. So that was definitely one thing that we wanted to include, especially for us as hockey players. Like, okay, our day, or even more so college athletes, like our day consists of class in the morning, practice in the afternoon, possibly more classes in the evening. Like, we didn't want to create a supplement that's going to give you that quick spike for 2 hours and then you're going to be in the tank a little while later. So we wanted something that was going to provide that steady increase, prevent the crash, something that can get you through the whole day. And that was one of the ingredients that we really noticed a difference with, and something that really made us different than the other brands out there.
Awesome. How do you guys how do you guys juggle athletics, school, and business? Because I could see it being a struggle.
Yeah, it's difficult, and I've been asked this question a lot. I mean, I've been on a couple other like interview slash podcasts that ask a very similar question, and the only thing that I can say is kind of resorting back to what I said first about fitness is that just like pushing barriers, like always finding a new goal to reach and like a new capacity for what you're capable of. And that's why I do all those physical challenges, like I said, because it helps me push more on the mental side of things. Because that was always something that I struggled with early on in my hockey career, was like the mental side of it. Like, it was a very stressful environment because I always had high expectations for myself, which obviously I still do, but I'm able to manage those more now, simply just through what I put myself through from a physical standpoint, which, not a lot of people are willing to do that kind of stuff. But really, it does come down to organizational skills, I think. Being able to take a look at your day and know that, during this time period, you're going to be getting this done, and this is what I'm going to achieve during this block. and just making it happen. Right. And I think a lot of people, I'll use the business side of things as an example. They'll wake up, they don't have a task list to do. And as an entrepreneur, like there's always something to be done. As you know, right? Like the list goes on.
Too
And
many things.
and I think if you don't have that list ready to go by the time you wake up in the morning, you're already behind the eight ball. I think that's something that I've learned over the years of growing Underdog, is like making sure that I have the things in place for when I do have time to work and I do have time to grow this thing. I know exactly what I'm going to be doing at that time, and it's going to get done because it's set and ready to go.
Yeah, and making sure that you're doing the right things.
Yes. Yeah.
There's lots of little things that can
Yeah.
take up lots of time, but might not push things the right direction.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, love that. Yeah, because man, thinking back to whenever I was your guys' age in undergrad, like I'm surprised I'm here right now. Let alone
Yeah.
More power to you guys to have the dedication to be doing all of those things and being successful in all of them.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong though. Like there's not no such thing as excelling in everything at once, right? I think there's a priority list, and I think it's a scale that tips. So there might be like a game day, for example. Like that's the main focal point for that day is a game day. Maybe you have an exam, it's finals week, right? Like okay, that's going to be the main priority, is to get your studying in, all that kind of stuff. But there's been plenty of times, and I won't lie to anybody about it, where I'm skipping classes for meetings. Homework takes a hit in the evening because I have to get some important tasks done for the following day for the business. Like that stuff happens. And I think that that's ultimately like the sacrifice that you have to make when you're juggling too many things at once. It can easily everything can fall apart at once if you're not careful enough, with your priorities and making sure that the things that are most important are getting done first and foremost. And then the time that you have left over, have a field day with it.
Yeah. And always take some time to yourself too.
Yeah. Yep.
So what's your guys' favorite thing about being in this business?
Whew, that's another tough one. I'd say just like the excitement behind it, like the opportunity that we have, and really just like knowing that we're creating a good product that people can trust. It's a good feeling. And when you see other athletes that are really like, wow, I notice what you guys are doing, and I use your product because XYZ compared to whatever other supplement they might be using, and they find a benefit in what we're doing. I think that's a rewarding feeling. So that's probably the most exciting part for me, is just the opportunity to continue to grow. I mean, we're so young still, young in the business side of things and physically young, but just the excitement of what's to come, the potential behind it. That's what gets you up in the morning and keeps you going.
Nice. Yeah. And just to add on to that too, like I think the thing that keeps us driving on a day-to-day basis with the business side of things, of getting into new accounts, or making it more easily accessible to athletes, like that's what really I think, obviously Dylan, I think I can speak on behalf of you on this as well, which is kind of like what you just said, is making it more readily available for people to be able to see the benefits from it. Because we've seen athletes have great success stories with it, and that they totally wiped out whatever pre-workouts or energy drinks they were using before, and they just use UD Energy. You know what I mean? Like that's a very rewarding feeling, and it makes all the hard days and the days where you feel like you didn't push the needle very far, it makes it worth it, and it keeps you coming back for more day over day.
You guys have an affiliate, like a athlete affiliate program, is that right?
Yeah. So
can you explain that a little bit? Because I see your social media posts and the different points and things like that. Yeah. Like how does that all work?
Yeah, so we started with just the affiliate program, which is basically, anybody can sign up, mostly like fitness goers. And at the start it was, athletes were signing up and all that kind of stuff. And then we ended up, I believe it was the spring of 2023 when we launched the college athlete program. which was really a valve for us to build that college athlete community. And essentially, it's split between the two programs. We have over 500 affiliates total. And essentially, it allows them more access to our brand as a whole, kind of preaching on our transparency, like they get behind the scenes looks and, more on the day to day of the business and kind of our training too. Like we put our training stuff on our little group chat we have going with all of our affiliates and everything like that, just so they can see like what we're doing. And I think that helps with the transparency side, like who's behind the brand, what's behind the brand. That helps us push the needle further on that side of things. And, the college athletes, they'll get a welcome package when they sign up and get approved. And, we try to promote them as much as we can if they share, some achievement that they have. Like we want to put that up on the story and all that kind of stuff. So really it just comes back to building the community of like-minded individuals. Like that's the goal. And I think everybody that signs up for both programs are in it because they believe they're underdogs, right? Like that's what gravitates them towards us, and they all have a story to tell. We have a little submission thing on the sign up of what's your underdog story, and we've read some pretty crazy stories in those signups that are just like, this is exactly what we're talking about. Me and Dylan talk about it all the time. Like everybody has an underdog story to share, and not many people are willing to share it because they feel like they are the only. But it's really not true, because everybody's had some sort of adversity, obstacle, conflict, whatever you want to call it, at some point in their journey.
What's that like one craziest story? The one that sticks out in your mind.
Oh, Dylan, you got any on the top of your head from all the signups?
I think, I read a lot of them. There's a lot of crazy ones. I think some of the biggest ones revolve around injuries. Remember one guy, he was a football player, had 2 ACL injuries in back-to-back seasons in high school, came back for his junior year, fought through it, had to completely re-earn his spot, since he missed essentially all of his freshman and sophomore year. Ended up going Division One. It was like just a crazy story of basically playing football for 2 years and ended up getting a Division One commitment out of it. And just to hear like what he went through from a mental side of things, and it's one thing that Joey and I always talk about is, yes, injuries are physical, but the toll they take mentally is overwhelming at times. And just to see what he went through is always his dream, to play Division One football, and to essentially miss 2 full years and still make it happen is pretty crazy. So that one's definitely up there. I think there's a lot of other injury stories that have been submitted that are pretty substantial. Even Maverick Rizzi, Joe, one of our sponsored athletes that's going to LSU for baseball. He's a pitcher. Had 2 or 3 knee surgeries in high school that kept him out for a substantial amount of time. And, now he's ranked to go in the MLB draft. He's going into LSU as a pitcher, and same thing, like just went through crazy injuries that you think would almost be career ending, or at least hinder your ability to go Division One. But those are 2 examples that they've really overcame the adversity of it, both physically and mentally, and still achieve their dreams. So those are always the cool ones to read, and kind of gives you the chills when you're going through the submission. It's like, yes, like this is someone that resonates with us. This is someone that's a part of our brand, and we want to represent us and be a part of our family and what we're trying to build.
Oh, that's great. I love those kinds of stories. So you guys are even starting to transcend into the professional sports world with some of your affiliates.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So is that informed sport banned substance testing? Is that NCAA specific banned substances, or is that like?
So NCAA is one of them that's included on there, but it's also approved by WADA for Olympics. The NHL, MLB is a little picky. It approves it, but they have an agreement with NSF, part of their collective bargaining agreement, that they only use NSF, but it still meets all the same testing standards that MLB uses, and then as well as NBA and NFL. So it's kind of the gold standard right there with NSF. And the reason we went with informed versus NSF was every batch with informed is actually tested, where With NSF, it's only every year. So every run that we have, no matter how many times we produce, it gets tested. They also do random tests every 6 months. So it is, by far the most rigorous testing, which is what we want, especially when we're just starting out. Like, we don't want to have any possible errors now, which will only get harder to detect as we continue to grow and get bigger. So it's kind of something that we wanted to get on right away. And yeah, it's been pretty cool to see one of my friends from high school and actually now investor is Jacob Bernard Docker, plays for the Ottawa Senators in the NHL. He's one of our biggest advocates for the brand. And yeah, it's cool to see him heading into the rink with a UD can in his hand, knowing that this is something that he can consume. It's something that he can promote on the NHL level. It's pretty cool. So Informed was something that we wanted to get right from the get-go. It was something that took a lot of time and also capital, but it was something that we wanted to make work. It was an essential part of what we were trying to do, and we're starting to see the benefits of it pay off now.
That is awesome. Where can people go to find out more about Underdog Energy?
So all of our like social media, we're basically on every social media platform, but our main one is underdog_brand on Instagram. That's kind of where all of our content goes down. Obviously you can shop through there, but our website is www.udenergy.shop. So we're online there. We're also on Amazon as well. And we're just, we're really starting to make headway on the retail side of things. We're in about 50, 60 retail locations in the Northeast, and we're launching into 16 Hannaford locations, which is in Northeast, or obviously, you're in the Northeast, grocery chain. And the goal from there is obviously to expand into the rest of the state. So we're starting in Massachusetts with them, which we launch actually in 7 days. So a week from today, we launch into Hannaford. So that'll be available there. We also have a store locator on our website, so you can see where all the stores are. If you want, you're local around the area, you can pick one up from the store.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Big step.
Yeah. Yeah. We're excited. A lot of work ahead, but we've been waiting for this moment for a long time. So
cool
stuff.
Well, that's great. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Any parting words?
I think I always like we do the same thing with our podcast as like one piece of advice. We always ask the guests to leave one piece of advice. So I just want to say, and I say this on every time I talk to somebody that wants to start their own business. My piece of advice is just to take action, like take the step. Dylan, how many times have we had an opportunity ahead of us that we had no idea how we were going to get there? Never mind actually achieve it. In the matter, obviously, having Dylan, having myself, like we can always bounce ideas off each other. So find people that are willing to work with you on something that you can trust and that is like-minded and wants the same things as you, and just go. Just take the action. Don't spend your whole life trying to plan something. Like, get an idea, set, and just go and figure it out as you go. This whole process has just been a learning process every single day. We never had it figured out, and we don't have it figured out now, and we probably never will. And I think it's just a testament of us just showing up every day and finding ways to get the job done. So
imperfect action is better than perfect inaction.
Yep. There you go.
Exactly. Heard it a million times. Love it.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. And, I think building on that too, just what a learning process this has been. And one thing that I take away from, experiencing this firsthand with Underdog, but it can be applied to so many different scenarios in life, is just like continue to work hard, because you never know how close you really are. Especially with this, we look at these massive goals that we're trying to accomplish. And, sometimes we sit back and we're like, holy shit, like, how are we going to do this? How are we going to figure this out? We don't know where to start. And then, we look back at what we've accomplished, and it's like, okay, we were in the same position, a year ago and a year and a half ago and 2 years ago. And, we look back at what we've accomplished and what we knew beforehand. And, we overcame those issues, challenges, whatever it may be. And you don't realize how much you've accomplished until you really take a step back and look, and realize how close you are to your goals. So I think with that being said, like, whether it's sports or academics or, business of your own, just continue to work hard at what you're doing, trust the process, have a plan, and like Joyce said, just take action and get after it, because you don't realize how close you are to your goals. And with that being said, like whatever it may be, just put your head down and get to work.
Love it. Well, thank you guys. It's been awesome. I'm so glad that I ran into you guys at that event a few months ago and met you, and I'm excited to continue to watch you guys grow and see where you take the company.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having us on. I mean, we always love having conversations with people like you. So thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.